Tell you, what we've seen happen to our country under Joe Biden should never happen. Over 10 million illegal aliens have come into this country. 1.8 million gotaways. These are people.
With the start of another election year comes the refreshing return of racist talking points coming from the right. And in this one, an old but classic myth. Trump is batting down the hatches, mutating on his initial border wall to something a little more holistic.
It's crazy what's going on. They're ruining our country. And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way. No, they're coming from all over the world, people all over the world. We have no idea. They could be healthy. They could be very unhealthy. They could bring in disease that's going to catch on in our country, but they do bring in crime. But they have them coming from all over the world.
Ignoring his idiotic plan for just a second, I'm curious as to what is Trump's enduring focus on the immigrant crisis. It's obvious that Republicans are deeply paranoid of the other, as a fear of the adversary is a core formative value for Republicans and the conservative identity at large. But manipulating the fears of the white and silent majority of America, Donald Trump has christened himself as a singularly populist voice, speaking candidly about the immigrant experience, which in the Republican perspective is racist jargon. And the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump just has nothing to contribute to the question of the immigrant experience. Trump doesn't care about immigration or immigrants. I don't think he could name half the countries in the Western Hemisphere. But Trump understands his audience, provokes their worst xenophobic anxieties using hateful dogma and racial unrest to feed his campaign. Because people are either going to the polls eager or angry, and there's only ever one that Republicans use.
We want to protect our country. And you know, those domes are starting to work. I didn't like it when Ronald Reagan suggested it because we didn't have the technology. We do have the technology now. And we're going to build a giant dome over our country to protect us from a hostile source. And I think it's a great thing, and it's going to all be made in the United States. And that's something that I consider productive. You know, when I watch our guys operate those things, it's unbelievable. Missile coming in. These geniuses sit down. Most of them are, you know, they're from MIT. But they sit down, bing, boom, it's gone. It's amazing. I think we could use it. Do you like that? Yes. I mean, isn't that better than giving other countries billions of dollars, billions? We're going to give.
But if we understand this call to arms around the immigration problem as a dog whistle, we can interrogate Trump's actions as a measured and implicit subterfuge that drives the delusion of the white supremacist structure, the American exceptionalism that protects white supremacy in this country. That's what Donald Trump represents, and that's what he is fighting for.
I will shift massive portions of federal law enforcement to immigration enforcement, including parts of the DEA, ATF, FBI, and DHS. And I will make clear that we must use any and all resources needed to stop the invasion of our country, including moving thousands of troops currently stationed overseas in countries that don't like us. They laugh at our current president. They think he's a fool, and we shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be there. We have to protect.
And it's safe to say that after 4 years, his presidency seemed to revolve more around tax breaks for the rich, which I'm against, and free Diet Coke, which I'm for. Trump's campaign has been founded around the anxiety of the immigrant in the Conservative Party, and that calls to question the integrity of the right in America. I mean, who can forget Trump's infamous beginnings? Announcing his first bid for president, Trump addressed immigrants as a monolithic Mexican, a moniker to call millions of people rapists and thieves. But what does it mean when a potential leader of the free world can attack an entire ethnic community, its next door neighbors, so belligerently and then go on to lead the country in the next year? How do you enter into that conversation with grace and legitimacy, apart from the fact that it was deeply shameful, humiliating, and dauntingly disruptive to the international harmony of the world? It reminds me just how far we've strayed, both in rhetoric and in action. Trump will forever exhaust the problem of the immigrant. But the continuing deaths of migrants along the border are a clear indication and highlight the irredeemable contingencies of the police state that is continually supported by a legacy of violence and white supremacy. I mean, let's not forget that the US is not the originator of these lands, and in fact advanced to its contemporary status at the expense of natives. And this original sin set the tone, cementing the legacy of privileged nations on the international stage, perverse enough to shut out its next door neighbors who they stole that land from. And we see this happening still with the commercial extortion of goods and the setting up of faux puppet governments that suppress a healthy and informed populace enforced by US interests. And all of this is what the untrained eye attaches to the immigrant experience. A racist narrative of immolating poverty, forever sieging their home countries, cursed to always be subservient to the American project. But not understanding the legacy that informs Republican racism is an omittance of the truth and a failure of the victims who lost their lives. And yeah, I know that Republicans don't care when black or brown people die, but I do. And that matters. Ultimately, we have a choice to make about the future of this country, about how we continue as an enduring force, and an example that government is here to help people, not separate them, and a reassertion of our values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice. And it starts with us. This is Adrian Costa with Rebel HQ. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check back more videos. See you guys soon.